Hello everyone, this is part 3 video on past year NEET questions from the chapter thermodynamics. Now those who are looking at this video can probably also take a look at the first two parts so that you will have the continuity. We will start with a question that has come in the year 2011. It's a straight question. The enthalpy change for the reaction 4 hydrogen moles of gaseous atoms gives rise to 2 moles of hydrogen molecules. Further, the enthalpy change is given as minus 869.6 kilojoule. The dissociation energy of HH bond is. So, in fact, here what they are asking for is the dissociation of HH bond per mole. So, dissociation, how do we look at the dissociation? What is given to us is 4 moles of these gaseous hydrogen atoms gives rise to 2 moles of the hydrogen gas. For this they have given us the delta H. What is the delta H? It is minus 869.6 kilojoules. Now dissociation will be represented in the other way. So where we have the molecules breaking down to give the respective atoms. So if we express it the other way, what is going to be the delta H? So when you reverse the reaction, what will happen delta H? It will become negative of the original value, means minus of minus 869.6, which will be equal to plus 869.6 kilojoules. This will be the enthalpy change for the dissociation, but here we have it for 2 moles. So each hydrogen molecule contains 1 hydrogen bond, right? We have 2 moles, but we have to express it per mole, means we have to divide this equation by 2. Or we can say we will multiply the equation by a factor half. Okay, so if you multiply the equation by a factor half, then the enthalpy change also will have to be multiplied by the same factor half. Okay, so 869.6 kilojoules. So what is the reaction we will get? H2 gas, 1 mole of the H2 gas gives rise to 2 moles of gaseous hydrogen atoms. This represents the dissociation energy. So and for this delta H is going to be what? Half of 869.6 kilojoules, which will be 434.8 kilojoules. And always the bond dissociation energy, it will be positive because the energy has to be supplied. That much energy will be absorbed to break the bonds. Okay, so the correct answer for this is option C. It's a straight question. We are just getting it based upon the definition of what is the dissociation energy. Next, we have a question that has come in 2011. Which of the following is correct option for free expansion? Free expansion means what? This expansion of any gas. Expansion of any gas in vacuum. So why we call it as free expansion is if you have a gas expanding in vacuum, right? So vacuum means the pressure of the vacuum, which will be our external pressure. Because so gas is the system that we consider and surrounding is what? The vacuum. So the external pressure or the surrounding pressure will be what? 0. So this is about the free expansion. So what we need to choose? Which of the following is correct option for free expansion of an ideal gas under adiabatic condition? See, for the free expansion, W will be equal to what? Already the W formula work in case of the thermodynamic process, work will be equal to what? General formula for work. Work will be equal to minus integral P external dV. This is general formula for work. This can be simplified if we have a reversible process. So whether we talk about reversible isothermal process or any of the reversible process, the work formula can be simplified, where we will substitute the gas pressure or the system pressure in case of the external pressure. Because the reversible means what? The system properties and the surrounding properties will be almost equal to each other, equilibrium. Okay, so now let's just look at this. So here external pressure is what? 0, means in this integration we will be having minus integral 0 dV, which is what? 0. So W will be straight away 0, and they are saying it is adiabatic. Adiabatic means what? Q will be equal to 0, no heat exchange. Now if you look at the first law statement, what is the first law of thermodynamics? Q plus W is equal to delta U. Q is 0, W is 0, so delta U will be equal to what? 0, means change in the internal energy is 0. That is going to happen when temperature is constant, right? Because what is the delta U formula? Delta U will be equal to NCV delta T, isn't it? So delta U 0 means delta T is 0, means temperature is actually constant. Okay, so if you look at what is the condition that we are talking about, Q must be 0 because it is adiabatic, W must be 0 because it is free expansion. Since Q is 0 and W is 0, delta U must be 0, which means because delta U formula is what? Delta U is equal to NCV delta T. Okay, so delta U 0 means delta T also will be 0. So what is the correct answer for this? It is option C. This is a question based on the Hess law of constant heat summation. Okay, so when it comes to the Hess law problems, so we will have a set of reaction equations given, their corresponding enthalpies also will be given. Okay, and they will ask us to find what is the enthalpy of an unknown equation. This is a very standard model of question for the Hess law application. Okay, so let us look at it. So we have three equations given. Half A gives rise to B, 3B gives rise to 2C plus D. Let me number them as what? 1, 2, 3. Third is what? E plus A gives rise to 2D. And we have unknown. So let us first write the unknown here. So what is the unknown? B plus D gives rise to E plus 2C. Now we have to make a combination of the 1, 2, 3 equations. And by having a combination, when we say combination means we arrange these 1, 2, 3 equations. Sometimes we can just add them as it is, or we modify and then add, so that we will get this unknown equation. So the procedure is what? The given equations. Sometimes straight away when we add the given equations, right? I mean, in this case it may or may not happen, I'm just saying. So if you add 1, 2, 3, we may straight away get the unknown equation. In that case, what is the Hess law concept? Hess law concept is very simple. So the enthalpy change of an overall reaction will be equal to what? Sum of the enthalpy changes of the individual step reactions. Means, if a reaction is happening in multiple steps, the overall reaction enthalpy change will be equal to what? Enthalpy changes of the individual step reactions. So here the thing is we have to arrange the given equations in such a manner that when we make a combination, right, we will be able to get the unknown equation. And while doing it, sometimes what happens is we may reverse an equation. So reversing an equation means the enthalpy change for that modified equation will be negative of enthalpy change of the original equation. Means when we reverse an equation means the modified equation enthalpy change will be what? Negative of the original equation enthalpy change. Okay, that is one. Second thing is, if we multiply an equation by a factor, maybe we'll multiply the equation by a factor 2 or 3 or half, whatever, then the enthalpy change of the modified equation, right, will be equal to the same factor times enthalpy of the original equation. So if you are multiplying an equation by a number 2, imagine, then the modified equation that we will get, enthalpy change of the modified equation will be what? 2 times the enthalpy change of the original equation. Okay, so these are the two principles we have to remember, and we will see how we can solve this particular question. So let us just take a look at the approach. So whenever we have the Hess law questions being given, first thing what we need to do is we have to take a closer look at the unknown equation or the final equation for which we have to find the enthalpy change. I am just rubbing it off so that we can have some space to work out. Okay, so we look at the given 3 equations. Okay, so by making a combination of given 3, we have to get the final. Now in the final we have this element or substance E on the product side. Equation 1, there is no E, you can check. Is there E? There is no E. Equation 2, there is no E. E is coming only in third equation, but that is also coming in the reactant side or the left side. We must get it on the product side. So here how much E is there? 1 mole. Third equation is also having 1 mole of E, but on the left side. Means the third equation has to be modified. How? It has to be simply reversed. If you reverse the third equation means what we'll get, 2D gives rise to A plus E. Okay, so delta H will be, third equation, what is delta H? 350, right? Just now only we looked at it. When you reverse an equation means delta H will become what? Negative of the original equation enthalpy. Original equation 3 is what? Plus 350. So 3 dash enthalpy change will be equal to what? Minus 350. Clear? Now then if you look at the other, so E we are done. Let's look at C. In the final equation there is 2 moles of C on the product side. C is also coming in only one equation, which is our equation 2. Equation 2, 2 moles of C is coming, that is also product side, means we should not disturb this equation 2. 2 should come as it is. Equation 2 will come as it is, means 3B gives rise to 2C plus D. For this enthalpy change will be equal to what? No change, as it is. Second equation, no modification for the second equation. Then comes the task. Okay, if you look at the final equation, right, final equation does not have A. The modified third equation, if you see, there is an A. There is an A coming on the product side. That must be cancelled, right? A is coming in the first equation also. But first equation, reactant side, we have half a mole of A. Means we must multiply the equation by a factor 2. So look at it, 1 dash. What is happening? We are multiplying the equation by a factor 2, means it becomes what? A gives rise to 2B. Delta H will be equal to what? It will become 2 times of the same factor will multiply the delta H also. 2 times 150 means what? 300. Clear? So this is about the 1 dash. Now if we just try and add, so what we are doing basically, 1 dash is what? A gives rise to 2B. Delta H is what? 300. Second equation as it is, no change. 3B gives rise to 2C plus D. Delta H also as it is, minus 125. Okay. Third equation, what we did? We have basically reversed it. Okay, so reverse, if you do it means the enthalpy change is what? Minus 350. Now when you add all of them, what is going to happen? A is cancelled. Okay, so here we have 2B, we will be left with B on the reactant side. So B and also 1B also will be cancelled. So B plus D gives rise to what? E plus 2C. So the overall equation, this is the overall equation, right? So what is the Hess law concept? Overall equation enthalpy change is equal to sum of the enthalpies of the individual reactions, means 300 minus 125 minus 350. What is it? Minus 175 kilojoule per mole. And again, while we are solving problems in thermodynamics, we have to be careful about the plus and minus. I mean, luckily here we don't have that plus and minus issue. But in most of the questions when we see, right, if you have a minus answer means you will have a plus answer with the same number. Okay, so we have to be doubly careful with regard to these sign conventions. Clear? So this is a problem based on the application of Hess law. Next we have a question that has come in the year 2010 for an endothermic reaction. Endothermic reaction means what? Delta H will be positive. Energy of activation EA and enthalpy of the reaction delta H, both of them are in kilojoule per mole. So EA is what? Energy of activation. When we say EA is energy of activation, we are referring to the energy of activation for the forward reaction. Okay, so the minimum value of EA is how much? That's what they are asking. What they are asking, minimum value of EA. So if you look at the energy diagram, right, so this is the energy and reaction progress. Here we have reactant. The energy of product will be more than energy of the reactant. This is endothermic. Okay. Now if you look at the endothermic reaction, here we have to comment on what is the relation between the EA and delta H. So whether it will be less than delta H, equal to delta H, more than delta H, or equal to 0. See, for any chemical reaction, right, the delta H value can be expressed in terms of the activation energy of the forward reaction minus the activation energy of the backward reaction. Activation energy of the backward reaction means what? This one. I mean, we are not using it here, but this gap, right, product to the intermediate. This is the intermediate. This is the reaction intermediate. Okay. Now from here, right, this EA is what we are calling as forward reaction. Okay. So from here, if you bring it to the LHS, means delta H plus the activation energy of the backward reaction is equal to what? The activation energy of the forward reaction, which we are expressing it as what? EA. Now if you look at it, the backward reaction will definitely have some value of activation energy. It will be definitely some value more than 0. Means what? To delta H, we are adding some number which is positive, and that is going to be giving us EA. Means what? EA will be definitely more than delta H. So what is the correct answer for this? Option C. Clear? So this formula we have to remember. I think even in one of the previous part videos also we got a question based on that. So enthalpy change of a reaction, delta H will be equal to what? Activation energy of the forward reaction minus activation energy of the backward reaction. Next we have a question based on the equilibrium concept. It's a question that has come in 2010. The standard entropies, means S0 values of x2, y2 and xy3. What are those? 60, 40, 50. For the reaction half x2 plus 3 by 2 y2 gives rise to xy3. Del H is minus 30 kilojoule. So here we have to be careful. The delta S0 values are in joule. Del H is in kilojoule. Okay. Now for this reaction to be at equilibrium, the temperature must be how much? So what they are asking, for the reaction to be at equilibrium, we have to find what is the temperature. So what will be the condition of equilibrium? Del G will be equal to 0. So whenever we talk about equilibrium, delta G will be equal to what? 0. What is delta G? Delta G is equal to what? Delta H minus T delta S. For the reaction already the delta H is given to us, minus 30 kilojoule. We have to be careful about the units. So delta S we can calculate, because for these x2, y2 and xy3 the entropies are given. So what will be the relation that we will get from here? Delta H will be equal to what? T delta S, because del G must be 0, which means what? Delta H by delta S will give us the temperature where we will achieve the equilibrium. Okay. Now how do we find the delta S value? What is the given reaction? Given reaction is half x2 plus 3 by 2 y2 gives rise to xy3, means entropy of product xy3. Okay, what is it? This is 50. So 50 minus entropy of reactant means half a mole of x2, right? Means half of 60, which is what? 30. 3 by 2 y2. So for y2, what is the entropy? 40, right? Per mole it is 40. 3 by 2 moles means what? It will be 3 by 2 into 40, which will be 60. So 50 minus 30 minus 60, that will be our delta S. Okay. So whenever we have the entropy change for a chemical reaction, it will be equal to what? Entropy of the product minus entropy of the reactant. Of course, we have to look at the number of moles. Okay. So now let's just get started with the process. First thing is what? For the given reaction, we will find the delta S. Delta S will be equal to what? It will be the entropy of product minus entropy of the reactant. So 50 minus reactant is what? 30 plus 60, which is 90. How the 30 and 60 are coming? Because we have half a mole of x2 and 3 by 2 moles of y2. So 50 minus 90 is minus 40 joule per Kelvin per mole. And equilibrium means del G must be 0, which means what? Del H minus T del S will be 0, or from here temperature will be equal to what? Del H by delta S. Here del H is minus 30 kilojoule. Kilojoule means what? 10 power 3 joules. Okay, so here joule per mole is cancelled. Kelvin power minus 1 will go to the numerator. It will become what? Kelvin. So what is it? It is nothing but minus is cancelled. 30,000 by 40, which will be 750 Kelvin. So the equilibrium temperature is going to be what? It will be 750 Kelvin. So this kind of question, right, are very common. In fact, if you look at the past year papers, we will see that a lot of questions are there which talk about the equilibrium temperature and conditions like that. Okay. Now let's look at the next question. This is a question that has come in the mains paper 2010. Okay, 3 moles of an ideal gas expanded spontaneously into vacuum. Means here the gas is expanding in vacuum. So the expansion in vacuum, we can also call it as, by the way, free expansion. Why? The pressure of that vacuum will be 0. So we will consider the gas to be the system, and the surrounding will be what? The vacuum, which will be having a pressure 0. Work done will be, so here we have to find W. So what is the general expression for W? Minus integral P external dV. So here, since this is expansion in vacuum, what is the P external? 0. So minus integral 0 dV means what? 0. So W will be equal to what? 0. So if you look at free expansion of gas, then free expansion and expansion in vacuum, then work will be equal to what? 0. Correct answer is option D. Next we have another question that has come in the 2010 mains paper. For vaporization of water at 1 atmospheric pressure, the values of delta H and delta S. Delta H is what? 40.63 kilojoule per mole. Delta S is 108.8 joule per Kelvin per mole. So this, whenever we see these delta H and delta S problems, right, we have to be doubly careful that usually they will give us delta H values in kilojoule and del S will be in joule. So we have to keep in mind that there should be a conversion here. Okay. Now the temperature when the Gibbs energy change del G for the transformation is 0. Means what? Straight away they are asking a question. When the del G will be 0. So del G must be 0 means what? Del H minus T del S should be 0. Means del H should be equal to what? T del S. So here delta H is given as what? 40.63 kilojoule per mole. So we will convert this into joule because del S is in joule unit. Okay. So 40.63 into 10 power 3 joule per mole. And del S is what? 108.8 joule per mole per Kelvin. So T will be equal to what? From here the temperature we are looking for is what? T will be equal to del H by del S. That is the temperature where the Gibbs energy change will be 0 for this transformation. Okay. So it's a straight substitution. 40.63 into 10 power 3 divided by 108.8. So if you look at the units, right, what is the unit of the numerator? Joule per mole. What is the unit of the denominator? Joule per Kelvin per mole. So this joule per mole is cancelled. The Kelvin will go to the numerator. So the temperature is going to come in the units of Kelvin. So if you simplify this, right, what is the temperature we are going to get? We will get 373.43. And like equilibrium, electrostatics, there will be some numerically challenging questions in the thermodynamics also. When I say numerically challenging, I am not talking about, tough or advanced level questions. All that I am talking about is the questions where we have to be doing these multiplication, division, addition, subtraction part. Okay, so we must also practice these aspects. Clear? So the correct answer for this is what? Option C, which is 373.4 Kelvin. Next we have another question which has come in mains paper 2010. This is also based on the Hess law of constant heat summation. So we will see that if you look at the past years, right, at least in the last 15 years, we would be having minimum 3 questions like that on the Hess law application. So what is it? The following 2 reactions are known. So first reaction is what? Let's just number them. First is what? Fe2O3 plus 3 moles of CO gives rise to 2 moles of Fe plus 3 moles of CO2. Del H is what? Minus 26.8 kilojoules. Second reaction is what? FeO plus CO gives rise to Fe plus CO2. Del H is minus 16.5. Then we have to find what is the delta H of the following reaction. What is the unknown reaction? We can call it as equation 3. Our task is to find what is the delta H for this reaction. So again same, the given equations we have to make a suitable combination. We have to adjust them. Maybe we'll reverse some of them, we will multiply them by a factor, we'll modify, and when we add the modified equations, right, we should get the overall unknown equation. then we will use the Hess law. What is Hess law concept? If you have a set of reactions and by adding them we will get the overall reaction, then enthalpy change of the overall reaction is equal to sum of the enthalpies of the individual reactions. Okay, so this is the idea we are going to use, but let's just write down first equation. What is it? Fe2O3 plus 3 moles of CO gives rise to 2 moles of Fe plus 3 moles of CO2. Second, FeO plus CO gives rise to Fe plus CO2. Okay, so we have first equation and second equation. Now let us see the third. If you observe the third, right, let's just focus on the substances which are there in the third reaction. If you look at it, third reaction has got Fe2O3 1 mole on the reactant side. Fe2O3 is only coming in equation 1. Fe2O3 is not coming in equation 2, it's only coming in equation 1. That too, where is it coming? It's coming in the reactant side and also 1 mole. Means the first equation should come as it is. The first equation we need not have to change it. First equation should come as it is. Okay. Now the third equation has 2 moles of FeO on the product side. See why I am not talking about a CO or a CO2. CO and CO2, they are coming in both equation 1 as well as equation 2. That is why I am focusing on exclusive substances. Fe2O3 is only in equation 1. So based upon the Fe2O3 number, right, I can decide what must be the change I have to do for the equation 1. Then another exclusive substance is what? FeO. FeO is not coming in equation 1, you can check it. FeO is coming only in equation 2. We require 2 moles of FeO on the product side, but equation 2 is having only 1 mole of FeO, but that too on the reactant side. So what we must do? First, we should reverse the equation 2. If you reverse it, what is going to happen? Look at it. I will write it here. Fe solid plus CO2 gas gives rise to what? FeO solid plus CO gas. So if you reverse the reaction, what is going to happen to the delta H? It will be what? Negative of the original value. So minus of minus 16.5, which is what? 16.5. Now the change is not over because we require not 1 mole of FeO on the product side, we require 2 moles. Now this equation we have to multiply by a factor 2. This equation we have to multiply by a factor 2. If you multiply by a factor 2, then what we are going to get is this one. What we are going to get? 2Fe plus 2CO2 gives rise to 2FeO plus 2CO. And what about the delta H? 16.5 into 2, which is going to be 33 kilojoules. Now if you add, okay, so for now just forget about the second equation, its story is over. Okay, so let's look at the first equation and the modified second equation. Okay, so add both of them. What you will be able to observe is 2Fe is cancelled, and here 2CO2, there 1 CO2 will be on the product side. Here 2 CO and 3 CO. 1 CO will be on the reactant side. Now look at it. Fe2O3 plus CO gives rise to 2 FeO plus CO2. And for this, what will be the delta H? The first equation delta H, which is minus 26.8 kilojoule plus modified second equation delta H, which is 33 kilojoule. What is it going to be? Minus 26.8 plus 33. It will be plus 6.2 kilojoule. So the approach of the Hess law is important, and here also you can see, I mean, thankfully our answer is not 10.3, then we will be having that doubt. Okay, so here we are straight away getting the answer as what? Option D, which is plus 6.2, but we can see that option A is talking about what? Plus 10.3, option C is talking about minus 10.3. So all these thermodynamics problems, we have to be careful about the sign values. We will have, most of the cases we will have the plus value as well as minus value with the same number. Okay, so this is about the Hess law question, and we have seen in this part video itself where we discussed like around 10 questions. We have seen I think we've got 2 questions straight on the application of the Hess law. Okay, next we will go to a question that has come in the 2009. The values of delta H and delta S for the reaction. What is the reaction? Carbon graphite plus CO2 gas gives rise to 2CO. delta H is what? 170 kilojoules again. So delta H, if you are converting into joules, means it will be what? 170 into 10 power 3 joule. Okay. And delta S, what is delta S? 170 joule per Kelvin. Okay. Respectively, these are the two values. Del H value is given, del S value is given. Now let's see what they're asking. This reaction will be spontaneous at, they're giving 4 temperature readings: 910 Kelvin, 1110 Kelvin, 510 Kelvin, and then 710 Kelvin. We have to decide at what temperature the reaction is going to be spontaneous. Now, if you look at any reaction, what is the condition for the spontaneity? Del G must be negative. Okay, so del G negative means what? So delta H minus T delta S must be what? Negative. What is the delta H value? Just now only we discussed 170 into 10 power 3 joule. Delta S 170 joule per Kelvin. Now, if we look at the del G formula, what is the del G formula? Delta H minus T delta S. Okay, so del H is positive, del S is also positive, and spontaneity means we want this to be negative. See, there is if you look at the del G term, del G always will have two parts. First part is delta H, second part is minus T delta S. This is positive, and del S is positive, but there is a minus here, minus T del S, right? So as you go to high temperatures, the second term is minus T del S. Second term value will become more and more negative if you go to high temperatures, and that can make our overall del G to be what? Negative. That can make the overall del G to be negative. So by looking at this itself, we can tell, if at all we have this situation given to us and they're asking at what condition it will become spontaneous, right? So we can straight away blindfoldedly choose whatever is the highest temperature among them, because the situation is what? If you keep increasing temperature, the chance for del G to become negative will be more, because you know the first term is positive, del H is positive. The second term minus T del S will be negative, and as temperature is increasing means that second term will become more and more negative. So the chance of overall del G becoming negative will increase with increasing temperature. Correct? Which means we have to go for the temperature which is the highest. Otherwise we can look at the other side also. Okay, so if you look at the temperature where we exactly meet equilibrium. Equilibrium means what? Del G is equal to 0. For that, what is the condition? Del H minus T del S is 0, which means the temperature will be del H by del S. That is the equilibrium temperature. Del H is what? 170 10 power 3. Del S is what? 170, means 170 into 10 power 3 by 170. This is joule, this is joule per Kelvin. Joule is cancelled. 170 cancelled. What is the temperature we are getting? 1000 Kelvin. That is the equilibrium temperature. If you go above, that means it will become spontaneous. What is the temperature that is above 1000 in the given options? It is only option B. Correct. So this way also we will be able to get what is the correct answer for this. Now we can even check whether this is really satisfying our spontaneity condition or not. How we can check it? Just what is the formula for del G? At any temperature, right? What is the del G formula? Del H minus T del S, right? In this we can substitute the value of temperature. We are getting this 1110 Kelvin, right? If you substitute this, del G will be equal to what? Del H minus T into del S. If you substitute the value of temperature, right, 1110, then we can see del G will be coming as what? Minus 18,700 joule, which means, you know, this will tell that at this temperature this reaction is really spontaneous. Okay, so there are, you know, multiple ways of answering this question, but the point is we have to look at how quickly we can get the answer, because NEET is all about that, isn't it? So this is the third part of the video, and we'll see in the next part.